Hello, I'm Dr. Rashid Muller, and welcome to the International Conference on Research and Management and Technovation 2020. Today I'll be presenting from my article called An Intersection of Information Security Policies and Information Assurance Awareness while Factoring End User Behavior, a NIST Cybersecurity Framework Identify Perspective. So my problem statement is actually quite simple. According to the Government Accountability Office Report 19-545, 16 federal agencies were identified as failing to successfully implement FISMA regulations rooted in information security policies. This paper will introduce the link between information assurance awareness with the prescribed actions and its direct influence on information security policies. While organizations are conscious of the federal rules and regulations, most continue to fail to successfully implement and comply with the guidelines due to a sincere lack of information assurance awareness and assurance, which ties directly into human behavior. Long story short, the policies are there. The government says it's the law to follow these policies, but people are still not doing it. People who are paid to do the job that they're to do are not doing their jobs. And that's a problem. This paper looks at, in granularity, the human behavior tied to information assurance and awareness. So in 2002, as part of the E-Government Act, Congress enacted FISMA legislation to ensure that federal agencies began to strengthen policies and practices. And then according to this 19-545 report, 16 agencies were identified as failing to implement the regulations following the law successfully, okay? So we look at the NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology Standards, okay? The Cybersecurity Framework was enacted in 2017 under Presidential Executive Order 13,800 to report on FISMA compliance. So this is the law, and people are not following the law, and it's a problem, right? We're talking about the presidential executive order. Comes from the highest executive branch of the land. So this is a real issue, and this is why this article was conducted and this research was done. The NIST Cyber Framework has 5 core security functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. NIST requires these 5 functions to run concurrently to provide the necessary protections for federal agencies to manage their respective security measures continually. And so what I'm working on is to identify. Again, you have 5: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. But if people aren't following the first one, identify, then what makes us think that they're going to follow protect, detect, respond, and recover? So here we have the NIST cyber framework, and this graphic comes directly from the report. And in it, we talk about 15 of the 16 agents failed to implement the security functions and identify. So here we are, identify. And these are the 5 core security functions. And here, the question again becomes, if they can't do the first, if 16 to 8, 15 to 6, 93%, they can't do the first one, how effective will they be in moving forward and doing the rest? 16 out of 16 failed for the protect, detect, respond, and recover. We can see that we are pretty much between 93% up to 100%, up to 87%, down to 75%. They're just not complying, and that's a problem. So pretty much this literature review just kind of dealt with information security compliance and pretty much IA awareness and behavior. Okay, so when you get into the paper, it talks about the you talk to and the different elements of it that are going to come up. But primarily when I wrote my dissertation, approximately a year and a half ago, I looked at IA awareness. And so as we kind of deal with this ever-evolving cyber threat, that is what we really need to look at. People are still, we're connected by phones, we're connected by a whole bunch of peripherals, laptops, everything has wireless sensor networks, everything is connected to the Internet of Things via the IoT. And so this issue of awareness is major. And this is nothing new. For those of you who are in the cybersecurity community, you truly understand that. So the research literature on ISP compliance indicates that a general problem exists among employees who don't comply with prescribed information security policies. So it is also known that employees can be most significantly security threat to any information system. So this says that people are the highest vulnerability to any information system. And finally, Miller and Gregler assert that consideration should be given to human behavior when authoring organizational security policies. So these policies are just doing, more than likely they are aligned to the companies, their rules and regulations, but are the companies really looking at behavior as an end function to really understand IA compliance? So how are they testing their security policies? You have hard baselines, how you're accessing information systems. But the bottom line becomes, the companies are dictating, but are they doing their research? They're saying, hey, we need a zero tolerance policy with 100% compliance, but are they really understanding the behavior behind it? Why aren't they getting compliance? Okay. And then Alan Lubice and Lubice define IT awareness as a mental state where end users recognize, comply practices, and embed the prescribed organizational security policies into their work routinely. Okay. Now it's a mental state, the awareness. So what we're trying to do in this particular article is embed a different paradigm for these organizations to look at with respect to embedding in their employees routine organizational security policy compliance. Describe behaviors that are going to say, hey, this is what you need to do when we're locking down our information systems. So here we have a graph talking about training and security behavior. So step one, security awareness process, users undergo security awareness training. Users are exposed to information security material showing correct and incorrect actions. These security behaviors are referred to as explicit behaviors. And step two, as we see, after being presented with information security awareness material, users must complete a short test measuring the extent of the internalized message. The internalized knowledge is referred to as implicit behavior. And in step three, the actual behavior is measured to test whether the information security behavior actually changed due to the awareness training and whether appropriate behaviors required an internalized understanding. Again, behavior has to be measured, okay? So here we have the UTAUT and the UTAUT 2, which was built off the Davis and Davis technology acceptance model back in 1889, and then Venkatesh came up with the UTAUT in 2000, and the UTAUT 2, along with a couple other research, they added hedonic motivation, price, and value. So the original UTAUT was really 4, performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions, and its influence on behavioral intention to what? Produce an end-use behavior, okay? So the UTAUT 2 extended it, again, from hedonic motivation, price, value, and habit, which really looked at habit and really hedonic motivation, which was, will this technology assist me in doing my job better? What am I getting out of it? Price value, is the new technology behavior worth it? Does it help me save money? Does it increase savings? And habit, again, is what we're looking at, the behavior. If I continually train people to look at habit, through habits, will it ultimately affect use behavior? So in conclusion and recommendations, I simply offer developing a better understanding of the behavior factors that influence ISP compliance among employees might improve organizational data security. Continual training programs and policy guidelines explicitly designed for end users may be more effective if structure and routine are emphasized rather than the benefits associated with performance benefits, ease of use, technical support systems, social expectations, or cost considerations. Such an approach would work to highlight the importance of developing good compliance habits, through behavior. So summarily, in reflecting upon the 2019 GEO report, it's recommended that outside of routine federal OMB directives, Office of Management and Budget, with congressional oversight, that the federal government take an approach towards offering assistance and bringing agencies up to speed with a corrective plan of action. So normally, what we have is the GAO reports, and then the agencies, they just kind of sign off on them. And then Congress, will look at it and say, okay, this is the GAO report, but the mission must go on. But if you take an active approach towards looking at the behavior, then this is where the corrective action can begin. So this particular plan that I'm recommending would take an in-depth analysis of the processes and employees trusted with securing the information systems and the associated process paired along with them. I think that stricter laws and regulations and accountability that require forfeiture of fines and criminal civil penalties should and could be implemented to move this process along. So the bottom line is, when we're talking about hacking and we're talking about securing our information resources, we're not doing a very good job of it in the United States. Again, I speak from the United States perspective, although we're presenting data in an international conference. But I'm sure in your respective countries, you also have some of these same issues with respect to cybersecurity and how our administrators are doing crazy stuff and they're not actually doing the job that they're getting paid to do with respect to auditing and systems analysis. So ultimately, we just kind of have to start fining people for not doing their job, or firing them if they're not doing the job. But really, firing is not enough. You really need to fine people to kind of set the precedent on understanding the importance of cybersecurity in 2020. I want to thank you for your time and allowing me to present here at the ICR MAT 2020 conference. Have a good day.